Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Purnamamsa Pariprajacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kunigiri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Gangamai Ki Jai, Jamanamai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Maharaj. And thank you everyone for joining us for Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Monday, January 23rd, 2022 in New York, day later in Vrindavan. And we are reading in the third canto, chapter 13, Appearance of Lord Varaha, starting tonight's discussion with text number 13. And we're discussing the proper governance of the universe. And over the weekend, Maharaj had found something in the original manuscript that was later properly edited in the current version of Vedabase 19. And since you asked me to mention it, I'm mentioning it. So thank you very much, Maharaj, for doing that and for being with us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Akendra Prabhu. And thank you to all. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Well, first to that editorial question. By training the citizens in the devotional service of the Lord, previous purport, the head of a state can be free in his responsibility. Otherwise, he will fail in the onerous duty entrusted to him and thus be punishable by the supreme authority. So the question was raised, what does it mean, be free in his responsibility? Looking back at the original manuscript, it said free from his responsibility. And in the latest Vedabase, it's been edited to what is it? He discharged. He's
head of the state can discharge.
The head of the state can discharge his responsibility, which is what it means. Free from means he's done it. He's discharged his responsibility. So it was a misediting by the original editors, probably me, since I was editor for third canto. And now it's fixed. So the head of a state can discharge his responsibility. Okay. Yesham natushto bhagavan yagyalingo janardanaha tesham shamo yapartaya yadatma nadrita swayam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana, Lord Krishna, is the form to accept all the results of sacrifice. If he is not satisfied, then one's labor for advancement is futile. He is the ultimate self, and therefore one who does not satisfy him certainly neglects his own interests. Purport. Brahma is deputed as the supreme head of universal affairs, and he in his turn deputes Manu and others as charged d'affaires of the material manifestation. But the whole show is for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brahma knows how to satisfy the Lord, and similarly, persons engaged in the line of Brahma's plan of activities also know how to satisfy the Lord. The Lord is satisfied by the process of devotional service, consisting of the ninefold process of hearing, chanting, etc. It is in one's own self-interest to execute prescribed devotional service, and anyone who neglects this process neglects his own self-interest. Everyone wants to satisfy his senses, but above the senses is the mind. Above the mind is the intelligence. Above the intelligence is the individual self. And above the individual self is the super self. Above even the super self is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu Tattva. The primeval Lord and the cause of all causes is Sri Krishna. The complete process of perfectional service is to render service for the satisfaction of the transcendental senses of Lord Krishna, who is known as Janardana. So, Yesham Natushto Bhagavan, Yagyalingo Janardana. For those who fail to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana, Krishna, the form of all sacrifice, Tesham, for such persons, Shrama Hiyapartai, their labor, their work, their endeavors are meaningless, useless, apartheid. Yadatma nadrita swayam. Having neglected the Supreme Atma, they also disrespect their own Atmas. This is their situation. By neglecting Krishna, I neglect myself, because Krishna is the self of the self. I neglect my own self-interest, because my best self-interest is to be connected with Krishna. When I'm disconnected from the service of Krishna, a bhaktahin char, then I'm miserable. And when I'm connected with Krishna, then my life is nice. So Brahma is giving this instruction to his son, Manu. Whatever we do, if it's not connected with Krishna, will be useless. Therefore, it's understood we should be engaged in sacrifice for the service of Krishna. Yagyartat karmanonyacha lokoyam karma bandhana. Same purport. If we act for the sake of Vishnu, the form of all sacrifices, then we're good. Otherwise, we'll be entangled in the results of our work. Brahma knows the plan of activities for how to satisfy the Lord, and those who come in the line of Brahma are also supposed to know how to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, are there any questions or comments? Yes, Kendra Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. It looks like you're back on your computer again. Is that the case?
Yes.
So you're able to see the screen well enough. Okay.
Yes, now I'm good.
Jai, I appreciate so much how straightforwardly Prabhupada presents this point that everyone wants to satisfy his senses, but then he gives the hierarchy above the senses, and all in pursuance of the line of logic that if you're neglecting service to the Lord, you're neglecting your own self-interest. I just appreciate it how he acknowledges that this is in fact the drive of all conditioned souls to gratify their senses and to have a good time, basically. But he's showing a very practical way to do it by expanding the way that we look at what we consider happiness and how to get it.
Te vidu svartagatim Vishnu, Durashaya ye bahirartamani. We don't know that our real self-interest lies in Vishnu. And so we're busy in bahirarta, and looking for meaning elsewhere, outside. Yeah. And yes. And the hierarchy is there, as you pointed out, from the mind, senses to the mind, from the mind to the intelligence, from the intelligence to the personality of Godhead, ultimately. Why do we want to satisfy the senses? It's so that the mind will be satisfied. What is that? Ashantasya kadasukam. Unless the mind is peaceful and happy, there's no happiness. So ultimately, unless Krishna is pleased, we'll not be pleased. That's our position. Thank you. Anything else?
In the
Sarsh,
chat.
Ananta Shesh. Most people in their 40s complain about midlife crises. When one lives their life until then just to satisfy their senses, then for sure the so-called midlife crisis sets in and depression ensues. Yeah, we're trying to satisfy our senses, and by midlife, the senses are deteriorating. They become less and less capable of enjoyment. And by that time also, we've probably found that our program for happiness through the senses is failing or has failed. And what was nectar in the beginning is now becoming poisonous. So everything is unraveling. So then what to do? Dump my old wife, get a new wife, dump my husband, get a new husband, change jobs, do this, do that, or simply go into depression. And then we go to the doctor and they prescribe this medicine and that medicine, and we spend the rest of our lives balancing our meds so that we won't be too hyper or too depressed. Well, all of this comes from neglecting our real self-interest. And at the end, after balancing our meds, finally we come to death and we don't know who we are, what the purpose of our life might have been. And we're afraid because we don't know what's next. And we've wasted our life. So this is all against our self-interest. Self-interest lies in Vishnu. When I spend my life serving Vishnu, Krishna, when he is satisfied, I'll also automatically be satisfied. And artha, real profit, real meaning, in life will be there. Okay. Saraswati, conditional souls are condemned prisoners, hell-bent on sense gratification and averse to bhakti. So Brahma knows this is the mentality of the masses. So how can he remain optimistic that souls will turn to bhakti? Why only Brahma? All of us, anyone in the line of Brahma, we all see what a mess it is out there. But still, let us do something. Prabhupada said if even one person becomes a devotee of Krishna, then the whole project is a success. The whole project is a success. Yes. Also, it doesn't say that Brahma's optimistic. This is what we do. We perform our duty. And the result may be good or bad. Or it may be successful or unsuccessful. We have cause for optimism. There's reason to expect that if we try to spread Krishna consciousness, someone will take to it. But it may be that we go somewhere and we try to preach and nothing happens, or everything just becomes a mess and there's no good result, but a lot of trouble. But in any case, let me do it for the satisfaction of Krishna. Then success or failure, it's always a success. Mari says, for devotees, midlife crisis is midlife relief. Yes. Yes. Okay. Manuvacha Adesheham Bhagavato Vartayami Vasudana Sthanam Trihanu Janihi Prajanam Mamacha Prabho. Sri Manu said, O all-powerful Lord, O killer of all sins, I shall abide by your order. Now, please let me know my place and that of the living entities born of me. Yadoka sarvabhutanam mahi magna mahampasi asya uddharane yatno deva devya vichiyatam. O master of the demigods, please attempt to lift the earth, which is merged in the great water, because it's the dwelling place for all the living entities. It can be done by your endeavor and by the mercy of the Lord. Purport. The great water mentioned in this connection is the Garbhodaka ocean, which fills half the universe. The Manu is asking, where should I live and where should my progeny live? We would expect that they might live on earth, but the earth has been merged into the water of devastation. So what is to be done? You please do something. Yes. Any comments or questions? Okay. And Vishwanath says, since you know the scriptures, do you know where the Manus and their progeny lived in the previous kalpas? Yes, I know. In this verse, Manu explains where they lived. Well, on earth, but where's the earth? Maitreya vacha padameshti tapam madhye tata sanam avekshagam katam enam samuneshya iti dadhyo diyachidam. Sri Maitreya said, thus, seeing the earth merged in the water, Brahma gave his attention for a long time to how it could be lifted. Purport. According to Jiva Goswami, the topics delineated here are of different millenniums. The present topics are of the Sweta Varaha millennium, and topics regarding the Chakshusha millennium will also be discussed in this chapter. So it appears that there are two Bor incarnations. If I remember, there's a red and a white one, and they appear in different millennia. And here in this chapter, the two accounts are intermingled. In one kalpa, the Lord lifts the earth, and in another kalpa, he fights with Hiranyaksha. Both times there's earth lifting going on, but the two accounts are merged or intermingled in this chapter. Srijito me kshitir varpi plavyamana rasam gata atatra kim anushteyam asmabhi sarga yojitaihe yasyaham hridayadasam saisho vididhatu me. Brahma thought, while I've been engaged in the process of creation, the earth has been inundated by a deluge and has gone down into the depths of the ocean. What can we do who are engaged in the matter of creation? It is best to let the Almighty Lord direct us. The devotees of the Lord, who are all confidential servitors, are sometimes perplexed in the discharge of their respective duties, but they are never discouraged. They have full faith in the Lord, and He paves the way for the smooth progress of the devotee's duty. The Srila Prabhupada said people like my purports because they're not ABCD, they're realized. So here, Srila Prabhupada is the right person to speak on this topic. Sometimes in the course of spreading the Krishna consciousness movement, Srila Prabhupada had to face so many perplexities, obstacles, difficulties. But the formula Prabhupada said is to have full faith in the Lord, and the Lord will pave the way for smooth progress in of the devotee's duty. And that we saw in Srila Prabhupada's wonderful career of spreading Krishna consciousness. He had full faith in Krishna and the words of his spiritual master. And Krishna did the needful, as Prabhupada would say. So here, Brahma, he thought about it for a long time. He thought about it, and it appears he didn't have a solution, what to do. As Srila Prabhupada would often say, what to do. So Brahma didn't know precisely what to do. What can we do who are engaged in creation? I've been doing my duty. I've been creating. And meanwhile, this has happened. The earth has plunged into the depths. Now what? Best to let Krishna sort it out. That's his conclusion. Yes, Sakendra Prabhu.
Oh, Maharaj, I didn't want to interrupt your flow of thought there. I was just thinking how this purport is very short, but it seems to be the essence of so much of the message of the Bhagavatam, because Bhagavatam is full of histories of devotees who going on with their service, and then whoa, some perplexing thing happens, and then the Lord paves the way for their progress of their duty. It's just very sweet the way Prabhupada puts it here.
Yes, it's quite wonderful. Yeah. Okay. Ityabhijayato nasa vivarat sasanagha rahatoko niragad angushta parimanakaha. O sinless Vidura, all of a sudden, while Brahma was engaged in thinking, a small form of a boar came out of his nostril. The measurement of the creature was not more than the upper portion of a thumb. Well, this is certainly astonishing. Suddenly, sahasa, while Brahma's thinking what to do, this small form of a boar, the size of a thumb, comes out of his nostril. Tasyabi pashyata kasta kshanena kilabharata gajamatra pravavridhe tadadbhutam abhunmahat. O descendant of Bharat, while Brahma was observing him, that boar became situated in the sky in a wonderful manifestation as gigantic as a great elephant. Marichi Pramukhair Viprai Kumarair Manunasaha Drishtva Tat Saukaram Rupam Darkayam Asachitradha. Struck with wonder at observing the wonderful boar-like form in the sky, Brahma, with great Brahmins like Marichi, as well as the Kumaras and Manu, began to argue in various ways. This wonderful form comes out. What is that? What is that? So Brahma might have one idea, and Kumars might have another idea, and Marichi might have another idea. So they're turning to one another. What is this astonishing form that we see? Imetad sukara vyajam sattvam tivyam avastitam aho patastrayam idam nashayame vinisritam. Is this some extraordinary entity come in the pretense of a boar? It is very wonderful that he has come from my nostril. Vrishtongushta Shiromatra Kshanad Ganda Shila Samaha Apiswid Bhagavanesha Yagyo Me Kedayan Manaha. First of all, this boar was seen no bigger than the tip of a thumb. It was as large as a stone. My mind is perturbed. Is he the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Vishnu. Since Brahma is the supermost person in the universe, and he had never before experienced such a form, he could guess that the wonderful appearance of the boar was an incarnation of Vishnu. The uncommon features symptomatic of the incarnation of Godhead can bewilder even the mind of Brahma. Iti mimam satastasya brahmana sahasunupi Bhagavan yagya purusho jagar jagendra sannipaha. While Brahma was deliberating with his sons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, roared tumultuously like a great mountain. Purport: it appears that great hills and mountains also have their own roaring power because they are also living entities. The volume of the sound vibrated is in proportion to the size of the material body. While Brahma was guessing about the appearance of the Lord's incarnation as a boar, the Lord confirmed Brahma's contemplation by roaring with his gorgeous voice. Saraswati says, I thought Brahma could see past, present, and future, and knows of all incarnations scheduled. So how was he confused? Saraswati says. So one thought is that, of course, yes, one thought is that this is Krishna's, the nature of Krishna's internal energy. When Krishna wants to play these dramas, then his Lila Shakti, his pastime energy, comes into play and makes such arrangements. Brahma forgets that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and steals Krishna's cows and friends. Indra forgets and sends devastating rain upon Vrindavan because his sacrifice has been neglected. Yashoda Mai thinks of, wants to tie Krishna up. These are all arrangements by the pastime energy of the Lord. We were, in another class, we're reading about Akruras going to Vrindavan and that at the behest of Kamsa to bring Krishna to Mathura. And while on the way to Vrindavan, Akrura is thinking of Krishna and thinking that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Today, my life will be successful. I'll meet that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's the source of all liberation and so on. And on the other hand, he's thinking Krishna and Balaram will receive me nicely and they'll say, oh, Akrura, uncle. So there's this mixture. He knows that Krishna is the ultimate Vishnu, but he's thinking that Krishna and Balaram will call me uncle. They'll embrace me, and so on. So this is the pastime energy of Krishna. Meena says, usually something coming out of the nose is nasty. Well, this isn't usually. Usually a boar is nasty also. Boars are dirty and filthy, but as we'll find here, this form of the boar is completely pure. Kendra says, to underscore Prabhupada's statements that mountains are also living entities. Rabindra Swarup Prabhu tells of riding with Srila Prabhupada from Philadelphia to Gita Nagari, and along the way, Srila Prabhupada pointed at one mountain and said, that mountain flew there. Yes, we have a very different view of mountains from the usual geological wisdom. They have their living entities. They can roar. At one time, they had wings till their wings were cut off by Indra. So this is the yes. These things are. This is reflected in the past time. All right. Anything else about that? Okay. Or about anything, of course. We're always welcome. And of course, the greatest living entity in the form of a mountain is Govardhan. And he's described in Srimad Bhagavatam how he was feeling separation when Krishna left, how he is the best servant of the Lord, always providing grass for the cows, providing nice nectar to drink, nectarian water, and providing roots, providing caves. So Govardhan is described as, therefore, Giriraj, the best of all mountains. Brahmanam harshayamasa haristanscha vijottaman srigarjitena kakupha pratisvanna pratisvanayata vibhu. The omnipotent Supreme Personality of Godhead enlivened Brahma and the other highly elevated Brahmins by again roaring with his uncommon voice, which echoed in all directions. Purport: Brahma and other enlightened Brahmins who know the Supreme Personality of Godhead are enlivened by the appearance of the Lord in any of his multi-incarnations. The appearance of the wonderful and gigantic incarnation of Vishnu as the mountain-like boar did not fill them with any kind of fear, although the Lord's resounding voice was tumultuous and echoed horribly in all directions, as an open threat to all demons who might challenge his omnipotency. In the Bhagavad Gita, Stane Rishikesha Tava Prakirtya Shagat Pravishyatyan Rajyateja Rakshansi Bhitani Jashodrivanti Namo Sarve Namasyanti Chasiddha Sangha. When Krishna appeared as the universal form, devouring everyone in the form of time, the Arjuna prayed to the Lord that everything about you is perfect. Stane Rishikesha Tava Prakirtya Jagat Pravishyatya Rajyateja. Hearing your glories, the whole world becomes enlivened. The whole world becomes enlivened. Stane Rishikesha Tava Prakirtya. Hearing the loud glorification of Krishna or the expansive glorification of Krishna, Prakirtya, the intense glorification of Krishna. Jagat Pravishyati, the whole world becomes joyful. But Rakshansi Vitani Tishodrivanti, the demons flee in all directions. Disha means the directions. Travanti, they flee in all directions. And but the Siddha, the perfected living beings, Sarve Namashanti, they all offer you their respects, their obeisances. So this is Krishna. For the demons, he's very fearful, fearsome. But for the devotees, he's very wonderful. You know, whether he appears in the universal form or the form of the boar or in any of his forms, he's a source of joy to the devotees. But the non-devotees or the demonic are just the opposite. They get they're filled with fear or anger or some other negative response. They become, as we will find, the Hiranyaksha becomes the enemy of the Lord.
Maharaj, Saraswati Mata has something in the chat there.
If trees and plants are considered lower life forms, so are mountains and hills also very low life forms. Are mountains and hills also very low life forms? Thus, due to accumulated impious, sinful activities, yes, the mountains are not, they're inanimate. Inanimate in the sense not of, inanimate really means having no soul, but literally, but non-moving. They're stuck in one place. The higher living entities can move around up to the point of the Gandharvas and the Siddhas and so on, who can go wherever they want. Who likes to be confined? We all want to be able to move about, but the mountains are obliged, especially when their wings are cut off. We hear that they used to be able to move around. They had wings, but at one point Indra cut their wings, and now they're restricted. And Govardhan, of course, is transcendental. He's appearing like a mountain, but he's Haridasa Bharya, best of devotees. Nishamyate ghar kharitam sakeda Shayishnu Maya Maya Sukarasya Janastapa Satya Nivasinaste Tribhiri Pravitrayar Muniyogranansma. When the great sages and thinkers who are residents of Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka heard the tumultuous voice of Lord Bor, which was the all-auspicious sound of the all-merciful Lord, they chanted auspicious chants from the three Vedas. Purport. The word Maya Maya, Maya Maya is very significant in this verse. Maya means mercy, specific knowledge, and also illusion. And Maya means made of, consisting of. Therefore, Lord Bor is everything. He's merciful, he's all knowledge, and he's illusion also. The sound which he vibrated as the boar incarnation was answered by the Vedic hymns of the great sages in the planets Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka. The highest intellectual and pious living entities live in those planets. And when they heard the extraordinary voice of the boar, they could understand that the specific sound was vibrated by the Lord and no one else. Therefore, they replied by praying to the Lord with Vedic hymns. The earth planet was submerged in the mire, but on hearing the sound of the Lord, the inhabitants of the higher planets were all jubilant because they knew that the Lord was there to deliver the earth. Therefore, Brahma and all the sages, such as Bhrigu, Brahma's other sons, and learned Brahmanas, were enlivened, and they concertedly joined in praising the Lord with the transcendental vibrations of the Vedic hymns. The most important is the Brihanaradiya Purana verse, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So these are the residents of the higher planets, Tapaloka, Janaloka, Satyaloka. These are above the realm of the heavenly planets. And when they heard this tumultuous sound of Karkarita, when they heard this tumultuous sound, they were joyful. Svakeda Shayishnu. This sound destroys all lamentation. Maya Maya Sukarasya. This sound was vibrated by the most wonderful living being, the merciful personality of Godhead, or the Maya, all merciful, or illusory, or specific knowledge also. So the Lord's form was not that of an ordinary creature. His form was the form of all mercy, or the form of specific knowledge, or the form of illusion. It was what can you say? It was appeared to be a boar, but it was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So or from another point of view, Krishna is everything. He's Amritam Chayadra Mrityus Cha Sadasach Cha Amarjan in the Bhagavad Gita. He's immortality, and he's death. He's everything good and everything bad, sadasat, or everything eternal and everything temporary. Amritam Chayadra Mrityus Cha Sadasat Cha Amarjan Vasudeva Sarvameti. So this boar is Krishna. And the sages were wondering about his identity, but the Lord vibrated this transcendental sound vibration, roaring. And the sages responded by chanting the Vedic hymns to glorify the Lord. Yes. Kendra's well, Mina says, why the nose for the appearance? Could it be because the sense of smell is related to this element earth, and it is the earth planet that is in distress. That's a thought. I don't know if that's why, but I wouldn't rule it out. Krishna can appear from wherever he appears from a pillar. He appears wherever he wants to appear from. So here, from the nostril of Lord Brahma, certainly, what would you say, unexpected. Who would think that the Lord would appear as a boar or from Brahma's nostril? Those who try to account for all contingencies would have a hard time dealing with the personality of Godhead. He does everything in his own wonderful way. So the sages could understand this is Krishna, and so they glorified him with the Vedic hymns. And the essence, Prabhupada said, is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Saraswati says, oh, in 25, there are some points from Vishnu we hear. Maya means merciful, knowledgeable. It can also mean not having the disease, amaya, of ignorance, maya. The sound resembled the grunting of a pig, gargaritam, but it destroyed their lamentation, Shaishnu, arising from doubts about the pig, or resolving their lamentation for being unable to deliver the earth. Brahma and others praise the boar, and then the sages from the higher planets, Te Agrinan, they praise the boar with mantras from the three Vedas. Yes. Okay. Saraswati, if one doesn't know many beautiful Vedic hymns, but recites the Hare Krishna mantra and without offenses, is that one hymn enough to please the Lord completely? Yes, it's quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita from Narad Panchaptra or somewhere, that all the Vedic hymns, mantras, understandings, everything's there in the, simply in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Tulsi Priya, the predominant sense organ of a boar is his snout, and the Lord invented to rescue the earth from a filthy place, which is a particular pastime of boars. Yes. All right. Thank you all very much. And let's have some kirtan.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajukacharya Ashtottara Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Naim Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kundgiri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navdvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamana Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Hari.
Thank you very much, Kunti, and thank you to all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for that.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Maharaj, it's very interesting that Prabhupada is reminding us the best hymns of all the Vedic literature is Hare Krishna mantra. It's amazing.
Best. Subse best. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Maharaj.
Meena. Thank you to all. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj, and thanks everyone for being here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jayadvaita Maharaj ki jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari.